Real talk. Real talk. Real talk. Real talk. Real
is Ezekiel.
And Sarah.
And we're here today for another episode of Marriage Matters Live.
Hey.
Yes. Welcome, Marriage Matters family. You can tell I'm super excited today, right?
I know, right?
So glad you are here with us today. Listen, on this playlist, on this stream here, we are here focused on helping your marriage or your marriage to be succeed.
That's right.
How you doing, Mrs. Diligence?
I'm good. It has
sure?
such a great day today, isn't it? I was so excited. I had so much fun today. So much fun. Big up to the family. Yes. Y'all know who you are. And big up to a certain person who made it possible. Thank you.
Yes. Mr. I Can Win.
Yes.
Props to you. Props out to you today.
Such a great day. Such a wonderful family time out. So it was lovely.
Yeah, it was good. Look, listen, so what's the topic for today?
Today...
You remember?
Of course I remember.
Of course she remembers. She looks down at her notes. I'm peeping my notes.
Okay, so today we're discussing hidden secrets in marriage.
Yes.
Okay, or even though it's hidden secrets, but it's just secrets will stop. Like, you get what I mean?
What
Like,
did we call the video? We called it
hidden secrets.
Hidden secrets of marriage.
Hidden
The hidden
secrets.
side. The hidden side. Hidden side of
Hidden
marriage, right?
sides of marriage, yeah. Hidden sides of marriage.
Really, and you guys, like, if you're watching this on the live stream now, if you're watching us on the replay, let us know. You know, we take your comments and contributions serious. I always say that you see these conversations, they're only possible because of you.
That's
you
it.
help us foster these conversations.
Yep.
Me and Sarah be chatting anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We'll keep the conversation popping.
Yes.
But when we kind of open that other dimension and we kind of talk through the screen to you guys, it's you guys that assist us with this. And I'm saying that because really what I wanted to call this episode today was taking off the masks of marriage.
That's right. Taking off the mask. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's really what we wanted to call it, because the reality is, what was I thinking about? There are some things about your spouse that you will never know until you're married.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
And some people still don't know, even in marriage.
Ooh, she's going there.
Yo.
So
hopefully no one's marriage is like that though. Because
I
that's
guess
a lot of things.
I guess there are layers in marriage.
There
right?
are
layers. And I think what is important about today's stream is really for us to have that opportunity for us to see both sides of it.
Yeah, exactly.
To see those sides of the individual that maybe they don't want to share. They're refusing to share, and also to see the side of the other person who wants to know and really wants to know what can I do to get my partner, my spouse, to open up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I think these are really, really important things, especially.
I do have my reservations about certain things.
Tell me.
No, I don't think I want to jump into it like right now. Maybe later on, because I do have my reservations about things that I do believe, you know, a spouse might not ever really want to talk about.
Yep.
Do you get what I'm saying? And maybe that should just be a secret. Maybe that should just be something that's locked up in a box that never has to come out.
You really think that's legit?
I don't know. You know what? I kind of like, obviously thinking about the topic, I was kind of like in two minds about it.
Yep.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because again, it's kind of like, what benefit can it bring to the relationship?
Yeah.
And what damage can it bring to a relationship? Do you get me? Like, there are certain topics, there are certain things that I do believe it just depends. It depends.
I know where you're going.
Exactly. And I'm sure probably most of you watching are probably kind of like grasping where I'm going here. Because
if you ain't grasping, tell it in the comments. I'm not I don't get it.
Yeah, so yeah.
Alright, so listen, I think there are a couple things off that, and that's a good place for us to start.
I was about to say, we can even just like, if you want, we can really kick it
the
off
funniest thing about this is, if you remember last stream, those of you who weren't here last stream, go back, check the playlist, check it out. That's right. We spoke about, we kind of tackled towards the end of that stream this idea about, you know, somebody not wanting to say something to their, not wanting to reveal a fact to their spouse because they wanted them to marry them. And you know, listen, we could like, look,
we can debate.
I understand. I understand.
Right.
We can debate how legit that is or how legit that isn't. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, we kind of tackled that end of last stream towards the end, last quarter, last furlong of last stream. We tackled that, and I think this is an important piece. Why? Let me ask question at the gate.
Oh, I was gonna ask a question too, but you go ahead and say diligence.
Go on.
No, you go first.
Should we have masks in marriage?
No.
Should there be a side of you that I don't know because it's shrouded by mystery.
Oh, the drama.
No, real talk. No. She said the drama. But I'm saying it's real talk. Real talk. Like, should I be confused when people be talking about you because I don't know that part of you?
No.
Should I be walking around with this lack of confidence because, and listen, this ain't an excuse for you man them to be running up on your woman's phone, or you sisters to be running up my sisters, to be running up in my brother's phone. This ain't that at all. Or to be making accusations. And we can go back to, I'm thinking about some scriptures here, but we won't go to that right now. But the reality is this. Some people are wearing masks in marriage.
They are.
It might be a mask to the outside world.
True.
Which in essence is dangerous, because I feel like that kind of person is definitely wearing a mask at home. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So is it you said that's not a right thing. Why is it not right? Why is it not good?
It's not right because, you know, if anyone, people wear masks when they leave the house. Most people, you know, a lot of people are, you know, indoors, they might be one way, and then when they get to work, they're a certain way, or when they get, you know, amongst their friends, they're a certain way, and stuff like that. But then again, I also feel
there's a word for that kind of person. But sorry, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but obviously that shouldn't be the case. But, you know, for me, wearing a mask, hiding your identity, hiding who you are, hiding what you're about, hiding the things that, you know, that you care about, the things you don't care about, hiding all these issues and things like that, isn't beneficial to a marriage, full stop. Because obviously, there should be full transparency.
Come on, that's my language,
marriage, right?
That's what I want to hear.
There should be full transparency, but some people suffer with transparency.
Yeah.
And some people get married without actually dealing with trust issues. Okay.
That's it. Come on now.
So, I got a spud used, Lord.
You know what? That was the word that was in my mind. All right.
Right.
That was the word.
Yeah. So for me, Again, a lot of things that people deal with are very deep. They're deep rooted. They're deeply rooted. You know, we've spoken time and time again, and it's always going to be something we speak about when we're talking about childhood, the way we were raised, what happened to people growing up, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, people have, you know, again, because people feel like they can fix things when they get married.
Oh, you make me want to go in. You're making me want to go in. Go on.
So because people feel like when they get married, they can start fixing things. They're like, oh, we're just, you know, and then obviously again, there's a whole factor of, should I really give him or her my all until they become my wife or my husband? Okay. Should I really be given my all until we walk down the aisle and we're
talking about marriage. This is marriage. This is marriage.
Exactly.
This is marriage.
And we're now Mr. and Mrs. But obviously, like when you become Mr. and Mrs., this is the time to really begin to sit down and say A, B, C, D. Like, this is, do you know what I'm saying? But obviously, again, we're kind of told to deal with these things pre-marriage. So people, I mean, again, like I said, a lot of people are not dealing with trust issues before marriage. So, you know, it's kind of like, okay, I can trust him with this, but I don't think I can trust him with this. And if I tell him this, I might break his trust or whatever. Yeah. So, you know what? I don't want that drama. So let's not even discuss that. This isn't going to benefit us. So let's just leave that. Let's get married and not have this thing out in the open.
Stop. 1 second. Yeah. Listen, people, you're in the chat. I want to know this. And I feel like I kind of neglected you guys last week. Let us know in the chat. Come on, type in there. Do you think it's okay? Do you think it's okay not to bear all before you get married? All right, to stand at the aisle and be like, I take Mr. I take Mrs. I take for better sickness and health, to death do us part. This is the ring. This is the ring. So, do you think it's right? Do you guys think it's right for you to take Mr. to take Mrs. and not bear all at the forefront? Let us know what you're saying. Sorry, sis.
No. So obviously, you know, people are standing at the altar with the things in the back of their mind, knowing that there are things that they're keeping from this person they're about to say I do to, for better or for worse, for sickness and health. They know that there are things that they're keeping. They know that there are attributes of them that they have not shared up to this point. Right? So there's a lot of things, and again, people feel like, oh, I'm mature, I'm grown, I don't need to be talking, I don't need to share that part of my life. Oh, that was back in the day, that was the old me. And then again, you have people who were you know, maybe they might not have come to Christ before they got married, and have come to Christ, and the things in their past that they They just felt like that was the old them, that was the them in the world, so they just don't want to talk about it. You know, so people have a lot of things that they are covering.
I like that. So what you're saying is, because I'm now a new creation,
yeah,
I don't need to discuss the past.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Some people might not want to.
Now, listen, my question is leans more away from want and more towards the need.
Well, this is the thing.
Is it needful for Sister Sarah to understand? And obviously, we started when we were cute. You know what I mean? When we were,
You're still cute.
Come on, girl, I love you. You know you're cute and popping as well. Yeah, you know, cute and popping. I'm saying, but we started when we were young.
Yeah.
All right, we were young.
Yeah.
And my point is, for us, it's different.
Yes.
Because a lot of the games, we played them together.
Yeah.
So my point is it right? Is it okay for us to connect in this way and keep those things distant? Do you need to know? Do you need to know the past?
Yeah, but this is what, but then again, this is what I'm saying. Like, people have this thing where they're like, I want my marriage to be blissful. I want my marriage to be, good. I want my marriage, and I know, if I now start to tell him this and start to tell him that, how is he gonna look at me? Is he gonna think, who did I marry? Is he gonna start looking at me like funny? Do you get what I'm trying to say? So people do have stigmas that they are carrying around that are preventing them from removing masks in their marriages.
Let me put myself out there. Look, I feel like push-ups be long.
What?
I feel like push-ups are long.
All right.
I feel like cookies. I feel like cookies. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I can enjoy a workout. Yeah. But I'm saying just in the, there are a particular part of time of the day where, you've had a long, busy, hectic day.
Yeah.
Push-ups are just long. You ask me to, I might get up and do it, but it's long. I don't feel like it. There's a certain time of the day, or the week, or the year, or the month, where I might feel like, cookies are the stuff. Mm-hmm. But if I want to eat cookies all day, if I don't want to do push-ups, is that the right thing? Because let's be real, we're here to help them.
Yes, we
with
are.
The marriages that are on the way, that
Yes.
they're moving towards. So some of these people need to know if they need to expose themselves before or not.
Right.
Some of these people out here, some of our Marriage Matters family, they are already married.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are issues going on within them internally now. Things that they haven't shared, things that they consider sharing, things that they say, if I share this, it might ruin the bliss. You're talking about the blissful experience we're going through now. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, I know how she's going to react. I know how he's going to respond. So because of that, they choose to withhold. And I'm saying, are we genuinely saying that's the right thing to do? That's my question.
It is 100% not the right thing to do. But my question to you now, though, would be...
Is this that question from earlier on, yeah?
No, this is a new one. I think I've forgotten that one now. I should have wrote it
down.
Why do you think people wear masks in the first place?
You're a boss for that question. Listen. The reality is, it's all about this. Masks are a measure of your maturity.
Okay.
I say again, yeah? Masks are a measure of your maturity.
Okay.
The thicker your mask is, the more complex and dense the mask you wear is, this is a show, a demonstration, a measure of your lack of maturity. We wear masks because we lack confidence, because we lack the spiritual resolve to be ourselves. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Some people are like, you see a lot of people kind of moving. I think ratchet is a term they're using, it. Yeah, I think is that a term in it? It's a term in it.
Ratchet.
And when you really examine these behaviors, like
Sneaky.
Listen. Okay, look, you see people moving ghetto. You see people moving on different sides of the spectrum. Okay, like you might have a female who feels that she needs to present herself a particular way, because that's the environment that she's engaging in. You might have guys in exactly the same mentality, and the reality is, the more we push or press to be somebody else, it's because the more detached we are, the more uncomfortable we are, the more challenged we are with truly saying, this is who I am.
Okay.
And look, let me put a caveat out there as well, right, with this. There are a lot of identities that are being offered on a plate today. All right? So a lot of people are saying, if you feel like this is who you are. If you think like this is who you are. And I'm not saying that we should jump to any because when I say this, some people be like, yeah, for real. Like, I need to really be me, and the identity that they're offering in a place, who I want to adopt. I don't know if that's entirely the right choice for an individual. I think we need to do a good amount of self-discovery grounded by a genuine and authentic worldview. All right, so it's not right for me to say, like, I might say today, oh, you know what, I feel like I'm a car today. I'm a car. Like, you know, what is that grounded in? Do you know what I'm saying? I said a story maybe in a sermon a few years back. You know, you have this guy, Jack goes into the garage and he says to his mum, I'm going to sleep in the garage today, mum. She's like, okay. He goes in there and Jack kind of crouches down on the floor, and then he kind of blinks his eyes like this, and his mum, Jack, what are you doing? He said, mum said, I'm a car, mum. I'm a car. Like, I live in the garage. These are my blinkers. I do that because, you know, the car, like, I don't think we can just absorb a reality that isn't grounded in an authentic and a healthy world view. That's foundational. So yes, a lot of people are uncomfortable within themselves, and because of that they kind of project something else. And I think this is why I went the long way around, but this is the reason why people wear masks, because they may not understand or may not know how to be themselves. They may not feel comfortable. They may not even know who they truly are. And because of this, they're acting out, or what's the word? They're projecting. No, what's the word? The appropriate word I'm looking for is they reflect what they absorb. And we all do that, but they do it unconsciously, without having said, chosen, selected, clearly articulated, this is who I am, this is my worldview, this is my goal in life, essentially. And this is a challenge. I think this is a major challenge, because a person like that, two people like that, going into a marriage together, and we wonder why there's divorces. There are volcanic eruptions. There are, so I should say, romantic. That's not romantic. There are kind of devastating eruptions in marriages, because you've got people who don't know who they are, fail to be trained, and have a clear understanding on how to find out who they really are from a solid, authentic worldview and move forward. This is a problem.
Okay, so are you kind of suggesting that the removal of mask in marriage is not something that's done over time? Like,
what makes you say that?
It should be done like straight away, because
I'm not saying that.
Because obviously you know me, and I like to look at things from a very realistic perspective.
Straight, you do.
Right? So
here and now, you want it now.
So for me, I know that sometimes it's not going to be a thing of where, you know, two people get married. Some people do it. It's like, right, okay, let's start spilling the beans. You know what I mean? It's like, look, we're married now. Obviously, and again, it comes back to my point about dealing with this. When should people really be dealing with this mask removal? When should people really begin to peel those, peel things back and open up and reveal things, you know? So I really feel like that's something that I really want us to establish today, because if there are marriages out there and a husband knows that there are things that he's kept from his wife about himself, a wife has kept from her husband about herself, like, realistically, now's the time to really begin to sit your partner down and say, look, this is that, blah, 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 blah. But I know that people are human. People might not, you know, because even though people are married, it's not that they don't even feel fully comfortable sometimes with that spouse.
Is that right?
But this the funniest thing is, sometimes it's the reality.
We've got a stream coming out about that in about
sometimes this is the reality.
4 episodes away.
You know, some people feel more comfortable talking to a friend that they've known for 10, 15 years than they do talking to the spouse that they've only met, that they've been married to for 2 years.
Marriage trauma. That's what that is, fam.
Right?
That's marriage trauma.
So, no, but these are the realities. Like, people have people in their lives that they've known all their life that they are happy to open everything up to. But then the spouse that they've only known for, let's say, 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, they still feel that maybe they're, you know, they still feel like there are things that they can't really speak to them about.
That may be real. The question is, are you, the individual, purposely focused on developing that relationship so that you have greater intimacy, greater authenticity, greater communication. We spoke about that last episode.
Yeah.
Greater levels of communication. This is super important. Look, let's go straight to the meat. Let's go straight to the potatoes. Look, if someone listen, if someone was molested as a child, if someone was raped as a child, if someone raped somebody else in their former days of life, if someone, I'm going straight in. If someone, listen. If someone had an abortion, all right. So I've named 3 things. They are.
I think that was 4.
Yeah, they molested. They raped, or they had an abortion. Flip side. So listen. Yeah. They were a guy who encouraged a girl to have an abortion, or they were the lady that had the abortion. They were molested, or they were a molester. All right, they were raped, or they were a rapist. Or the person who raped. I'm saying, are those the kind of things that we should go into a new relationship with without talking about?
Fam, babe. Whoo. Now, see, obviously, those are some of the points that I was. I'm laughing because I can't even think like what the response would be.
I'm using some deep examples. This goes on for a lot of stuff. Someone could be a shoplifter, they went to jail, like, you know what I'm saying? They had some mental illness when they were younger. Like, it could be a load of things. But I'm taking some hot ones. Talk to me, Sarah. Talk to me.
But this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, guys.
You want someone to see Bay's face on the TV before Bay told them?
No, but Bay shouldn't be on the TV at this point now because Bay's a reformed person.
Somehow, some way, back later in the day, something gets dredged up and it's like, yeah, boom, someone's Bay. And you be like, that Bay?
But you see, this is the thing, right? How, and I feel like this is what I really want us to discuss on the show.
Oh, for real.
How couples should be able to open up to each other, because we could be having this conversation right now, and there might be a couple who watches this now, or watches this later on down the line, who was any one of those things, or who had been and hadn't told their partner. How do they then
just spill the beans?
And as well, if it's been like. If they've
30,
been together,
40 years, 50 years.
If they've been together for so long,
that's what do they call it? Water under the bridge.
That's what I'm saying. So is it something that they just like? Because I'm sure there are relationships that have entered divorce courts because one spouse has opened up about something and the other spouse is just not willing to accept it. They cannot live with them anymore. They see them in a completely different light. Even just let's just take someone who was a rapist before, right? And they marry this woman. She's an absolutely lovely lady. He knows what she's like.
Why wasn't the woman the rapist? Why have to make it the man?
Please!
So stereotypical.
Oh my god! Yeah, because
that's
just what it is, right?
Women have raped men before. Oh
my god! Yeah, but if a woman tells her husband that she raped a guy back in the day, he'll be like, what kind of man was that you?
Wow. Wow, just abusing that's a greater abuse on the head of the person.
My God. So that's why I'm not using that. Because, some men might be like, hey, okay. Oh, was he?
You have power. You have power. Like that,
upset about that.
Was he upset? Oh my goodness. No.
Allow me.
Let's rein this in.
I'm busting too much jokes. All right, cool. So like I said,
So I apologize for interjecting.
No problem. So like I said, he now knows that he's got this secret.
Yeah.
That back in the day, in his late 20s, whatever, he's in his 40s now, whatever, and he did this, or he used to do this thing to women, and he's married this amazing woman.
Yeah.
She's, everything he's ever wanted. She supports her family, blah, blah, blah. Let's just say she's some dream chick for him, yeah? And he knows that he's kept this thing for her for 5-6 years. They've got kids now, things are moving. He knows what her stance is on this issue. They've watched movies before. She's flipping. She's ready to get a pan and throw down the telly. Do you know what I'm saying? So she reacts to a certain way to these particular type of things.
She's opposed to that identity
of a human being, right? So, and he knows that how she feels about these issues, and then this is his secret. Now, he has 2 choices. Tell her, lose her. Yeah, because he knows that she might just not be about that. So obviously in his mind there's 2 things. I can tell her, she could leave him. He can not tell her and they can still just live happily ever after. But this thing is eating him up. And every time he looks at her, he's just like, I want to tell you this, like, the part of my life. Because a lot of times some people don't understand that when they open up to their spouse, they're even setting themselves free.
Of course, 100%.
They're setting themselves free from certain
100%,
things. You understand?
Especially if it's like you're saying that it's something that what is not letting you go.
Right.
It's something that's kind of the person's feeling arrested about this
right.
thing. Yeah.
And as well, let's just say that relationship got to a point where they know everything about each other, but there's this one thing that is just not being revealed. Now, I mean, obviously for me, I would say he has to tell his wife and let her make the choice. Let her know. But then a lot of people are holding things because they can see a breakup if they reveal this particular thing.
Yeah.
You understand? Similar thing. If a woman has had multiple abortions before she got married and she marries this guy who's all about kids, who is, who's really pro-life, just doesn't like that kind of stuff, and she's got this thing where she's had all these things before, and they're like, okay, well, and then they're trying to have kids and they're not having kids, and she knows
that could be a factor, but he doesn't. Yeah,
but he doesn't.
Yeah.
So he's now trying. They're trying, and she kind of knows in the back of her mind that this is a thing. But if she tells him, there's a potential that he could leave her, and she doesn't want that. So I feel like a lot of the times, a lot of people are wearing masks in their marriages because they have this thing at the back of their mind that this could actually end up detrimental if I tell my spouse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's about people understanding. My main thing would be, I would potentially say to that person, look, it's best you tell your spouse because you will be set free. You will be set, and if whatever happens, but you've told the truth, you've came out, you're open, there's nothing to hide anymore. You understand? But then again, it's just like people, and this is what I was saying about the trust issue. Some people probably don't even fully trust that their spouse actually fully loves them to a point where they can take and accept anything.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah, and I think that's the reality. I think it's funny that you kind of... That's what I was going to interject tomorrow. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, one of our very first streams, we spoke about our view of marriage. And that marriage is this covenant that doesn't have a shelf life, basically. And I think that this is something that a lot of people fail to fully appreciate in their marriage. So, like, people go into marriage thinking about the exit strategy. You know what I'm saying? We hear about, I think we should need to do a stream on prenuptial agreements, but they go into it, they go into these relationships and their mind is kind of like, you know what, if it goes this way or that way, or, under this certain circumstance, I'm out. And they don't go into it with this, I'm never leaving. I'm committed to this for life.
What.
This is the end game as they're starting. I know some people are different people in different places, different worldviews and the like. But I think that's a foundation to the confidence that a person has with their spouse. If they go into that thing, and I understand that some of these things are deeply emotional. Yeah, they are deeply, like, they can trigger people differently. And I feel it's very, very important for us to acknowledge that marriage doesn't have a shelf life. Even though the world allows you today to act as if marriage is this room that you can go into and leave whenever you like.
That's
obviously
right.
That doesn't mean that we should perceive it that way. And I think it's the people that perceive it that way that find themselves in this kind of trouble. Because if two young people, two middle-aged people, two elderly people get together, the focus should be, look, I want to get the most out of this. I want to develop this the best that we can.
Yeah.
I want to add to this as much as I can. So I think I understand that there's the potential for us in our minds to have a lot of turmoil, to perceive a lot of turmoil. And it may, like, we don't, depending on what the scenario is as well, if the other person hasn't revealed some stuff to them, maybe some stuff that happened to their friends, something they went through when they were little, that again could kind of cause some kind of a ripple effect in the whole situation. Yeah, I feel as though these things should not be things that are kept from a spouse. You understand? It's like the Bible talks about, you hear me, the scriptures, people, like, it talks about the man and woman becoming one flesh. And I made the point the other day that, a lot of people see that as just, they perceive it as just the union like that kind of intimacy, the physical intimacy. But they fail to understand that when two people connect in that way, there is this connection of souls. We spoke about soul ties before.
Yeah.
There is this spiritual connection. We know we experience this so many times. The Lord will minister to one of us, the other person kind of has a witness. One of us be thinking something, the other person we're kind of in alignment. And those things happen the more time you spend with each other, the more your spirits are connecting. You know, it's even more effective if you pray together, you study together, you read the word together. Those things help develop those attributes and those characteristics. These things are massively important for us to acknowledge. My point is keeping that part separate. You mentioned the 5-letter word before, and it really failed to develop the genuine type of trust that a marriage should have. And I know some people have this mindset. You know, my husband, my wife don't care about that stuff. Yeah, they don't care about the past. They love me for who I am. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like
they love me for the now.
and I think this is one of the issues. And if that's what your spouse has said to you, then you should have no problem telling them.
True.
You should have no problem telling them, and they should have no problem with you telling them.
True.
Because all they care about is the here and now.
No, that's right.
Do you understand? So I think that's an important factor for us to remember as well. It's like if truly we're saying, they love me for now, they love me for the here and now, they don't care about the past. Because the worst thing that can happen in a relationship, in a marriage, in the covenant of marriage, is for trust to be undermined. When trust is undermined and somebody finds out from an external entity, whoever it may be, and it turns out to be true. I said this on a regular. You can't go to the shop and say, give me 2 bags. You can't go to the chip shop and say, give me 2 bags of love and a packet of trust. It don't work like that. You can't buy those things off the shelf. It don't work like that. So we need to develop these things over time. I think this is super important.
Yeah.
So trust is a major factor. What else have I got down here? Well, I think one of the things that I really want us to talk about is this. Even let's just touch on this really, just super briefly. When we talk about the mask, we're taking off these masks in marriage, we're talking about the inner game. There's an inner and an outer perspective of life, all right? So there is the mind, there is the emotions, and then there is the kind of the external. So let me put it this way. There is the subconscious, so the subconscious, the conscious, the inner working, and then you've got the outward appearance, so the words you hear, all right, the things I say. So thinking and speaking are directly connected. But they're 2 different aspects, 2 different perspectives of the same person. When I speak, you hear it and you know what I'm saying. You can acknowledge me. But when I think, unless I determine to verbalize those things, you won't know that. And this is important. It's important for a spouse to understand the way their spouse thinks. It's not right for the spouse to think a thing and then say and only say what is completely contrary. That's danger. That's big time danger. You know what I'm saying? It's like constantly thinking negative thoughts about their spouse, but then they might say the odd compliment, or they keep this odd nicety, or they keep it quiet. This is a problem.
Wow,
this is a problem. No, because listen, this is why. Because you said a moment ago, there are some people that can talk to their friends but can't talk to their spouse, and they will. I don't want to use the colloquialism that we will use, but they will complain to their friend about the spouse, but they won't they won't say those things to the spouse. But that's being two-faced, isn't it? Really, like to the spouse, to the friend or whatever, they bear all, but to the spouse they give it apart, and that's dead. This is the reason why. Whoever those people were modeling in their relationship did not succeed. It failed, and bringing that into their house, it's gonna fail too.
But then, would you say that that's kind of like based on the individuals that are married? Because we're like the last show was talking about conversations, and we established that there are people who one spouse might not be so well learned in conversating with their spouse. They might be, they might have some kind of withdrawal. They might not be so vocal. And there are ways, like you have to find ways to prompt that particular spouse to
100%.
get engaged in conversation and stuff like that. So if you have this wife who's extremely chatty, and she just wants to talk about everything that goes on in her life, and she knows that she starts talking to her husband, he's just not listening. And she's saying things, and she can tell he's not actually paying attention. And every time
I'm listening, babe. I'm listening.
Right, I know you are. And they just have and he just doesn't pay mind. She will get on the phone to her girlfriend and be blah 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 blah, 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 blah. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, because she wants to talk. She's a talker. She wants to talk. She wants someone that can talk back and be like, yeah, girl, I heard you saying, oh my gosh, maybe you should do this, because the husband isn't there going, oh, honey, I really hear what you're saying, but I think maybe you should do this in the situation. She's not getting that back from him. So obviously someone like her, she might have people in her life or a friend in her life who she lays all that down to. So when it comes to certain things that maybe she might be hurting or going through, she just kind of knows, oh, this man is not going to listen. He doesn't do anything about when I talk. So let me go and tell blah, 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 blah. Think he might be able to give me advice. Think he might be able to, do you know what I'm saying? I'm not hiding my secrets from everybody. This person knows everything. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So some people might find themselves in that situation. Yeah. However, it's still not right. And this is where I think, obviously, for me, it's important. We spoke about getting help for your marriage. Yeah. Getting assistance if your communication really is dead.
Real talk.
Because this particular topic today, hidden secrets in marriage, again, it flows into communication.
Everything, right? Everything.
It flows into back into the foundation of communication. If your communication is not, at a place where you feel that you can really expose yourself to your spouse, they're going to be keeping things. So, if there are things that have been on someone's minds and they just know, oh my gosh, I really need to tell this woman, I need to tell this man, but then they've noticed that they've got communication breakdown in the sense that they start talking about deep things and it goes terribly wrong. You know what I mean? They start talking. They might start having a conversation, and it's getting deep. And then before you know it, it's a big argument. They're sleeping on opposite sides. This person's not talking to this one for the rest of the week. Blah blah blah. So it gets to the point where, all right, if we beefed about this thing, how am I gonna tell her or him about this thing? Do you see it? So for me, in order for people to really be able to be themselves, there has to be that communication. There has to be that friendship. There has to be that trust.
Yes.
And a lot of marriages do not have these things. A lot of marriages do not have good communication. A lot of marriages don't have trust. A lot of marriages don't have friendships. And other things that pertain to, a healthy communication in marriage.
Sad, man.
Because, people know, people are people. Men are men, women are women.
Yep.
Two people come together doesn't mean that automatically, everything's just going to be bubbles. Do you get what I'm saying? People know that there's still struggles, there's still hardships. Again, this is a thing. One of the things that I was going to say as well, when it comes to, hidden secrets, people around a particular person cause them to keep secrets.
Yes.
You can't tell him that. Oh my gosh, he will leave you. Even open your mouth and say that to her, she's gone.
Yeah.
So instead of being advised, look, you have this particular issue, maybe you guys should work on your communication. Maybe you should go and see a counselor. Maybe you should go and see marriage. Maybe you should go and get marriage coaching. Maybe you should go and see a therapist, whatever it may be, so that this particular thing can either come out in one of these in one of these play sessions or in these safe settings. Again, we encourage safe zones, we encourage hard talk and all that kind of stuff. So if people began to say to themselves, or had people that said to themselves, look, maybe you guys should get help in this area so that you can tell your husband what you're going through. So you can tell your husband what you've experienced. You get what I'm saying? So people really need to understand that you can't just go, hon, I think it's going to be okay. Yeah. It might not. Yeah. You might have to find the right time, the right set, the right environment. You're not going to take your spouse on an expensive holiday and then start telling them, oh, by the way, there used to be a rape, there used to be this, they were this, they were that.
Some people might think that's the right appropriate
setting. Some people might, but then that might just ruin the whole holiday.
If I take them there, then they'll be in such a high mood so that they won't feel it.
And there are just, so for me, a lot of things come into play. I mean, there are so many things that people are hiding. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a burden.
Big time.
And this is the thing. Couples don't understand that it's a burden to carry.
Yeah. I think, we can tackle... There's a couple of things still more to tackle. I think...
Definitely there's a couple of things more to tackle.
You've said it in a big way. I think every relationship has... I was thinking about this today. Different people. And I think it's funny. It really is powerful. And this is probably for another session. But really about learning to identify your spiritual partner. It's so I think it's so key and so significant. And I hope we can touch that on a Marriage Matters stream. But I think one of the powerful things is every marriage consists of two different types of people that come together and become one person. And I feel that in the early days, let me talk to those of you who are courting, those of you in the early stages, those of you who are still single at the moment. And you know I'm a massive advocate. Sarah said it was already massive advocate of asking the hard questions early. I keep drumming it home. And I think this is one of the reasons why certain conversations need to happen at the beginning. You were saying as we started out that, you know, some people might be like, I can't bear it all. I don't know. You're not my spouse yet. You're not my spouse yet. And the reality is, if it is in those premarital counseling sessions where the people start to expose themselves, where there is a mediator, where there is a third party, where they have direction and guidance, and they then determine in that setting, you know what, this ain't the person for me, I think it's safe. I think it's safe because...
For them to walk away?
Yes, because they don't want to get into a bind. They don't want to get into a relationship, a covenant where they are constantly feeling like they want to be out of there. We've got a stream coming on about that sometime soon as well.
But then, you know, just to jump on that, then, you know, this person who is now rejected at the point of truth, then realizes, okay, this person they thought that they were about to marry, obviously they've spent time together, whatever, has walked away from things that they've said.
Yes.
What happens to the next person?
Look,
that next person now gets the is it the repercussion of the ripple effect of what the first man or woman did, which was to leave them because they told them, because they're exposed all.
So you're not saying that that's a deterrent for them being open as they go forward.
And this has probably happened to people in the past.
I wasn't necessarily saying that the person would leave them because they said that, even though it's a case. Exactly, it is. It's a case. My point is that, look, if that person leaves you, they weren't the one for you. Because look, if they can leave you then, they can leave you later.
It's better they leave then than
That's my point. That's my point. It's like they can leave you now, they can leave you there. And this is what we need to really establish. It's like, we don't want to get into relationships just for the sake of being in a relationship. You don't want to be in a marriage just for the sake of bearing the title. That's dead. Do you know why? Because there's no authentic love. There's no real enjoyment, no real passion there. Like, it lasts. It's like spot fizz or pop fizz. It's like it pops for a minute, then it dies out. It comes and it dies out. What we are working for and trying to help you guys to really harness is that consistent passion, that consistent authenticity. And I'm not saying that it doesn't ebb and flow. Everybody has arguments. What I'm saying is it doesn't ebb below a particular level. You remain, the base is authentic, and it's uber highs, and you come back down to enjoyment and passion and uber super passion, and you've got a baseline that you're living at. A lot of people are living well below that baseline of authentic love. That's the thing that really gets to me, because we got so many people playing married. We got so many people playing happy families. And it's that inner outer game. It's like so many people on the outside, they want to perform, they want to show out, they want to drive that right car, have that nice house, present themselves in a particular way. When the door closes, it's trauma, terror, and World War 29. And these are problems. We spoke about this before, because children are being raised in these households. And I think the real way to get into this is not to pretend like you know everything, not to pretend like you know your spouse. You need to get an accountability partner. You need to get an accountability couple. That's what you need to do. You need to have people close to you that can support you and assist you through your journey of marriage. Because faking it, you don't make it that way. Like, when in marriage, like, you might, in some other areas, maybe that works. You know, I've heard about people in the past who've got the gift of the gab. Gift of the gab don't work in marriage, you know. Like, you be gabbing it, then you're gonna get busted. You know what I mean? She ain't gonna have that. He ain't gonna have that. It's gonna be on. So, like, this really gets to me. It touches me, because we have the roadmap to success. It's there. It's plain. And if we take those steps, we're winning. But so many people choose this other road, and they think that deceit and deception will win, but it doesn't. Do you know what I'm saying? We all have a past. We all have a past, and it's about wearing your past on your sleeve. I know there are so many couples, people, individuals going into marriage that say, you know what, I'm not going to say anything. And if they find out, they find out, whatever. But I'm just not going to say anything. And I think that that's a wrong foundation to build your marriage on.
Well, okay, so if a spouse, okay, who, because obviously like we already know that people are coming from different places. No two people have had the same life.
Okay.
Right. So let's just say one couple, one spouse went through certain things, but they dealt with that. They overcame it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't affect them anymore.
Yeah.
And they've just really let go of that.
Yeah.
It's like that happened, but like it means nothing to me. I'm over it. It doesn't affect me mentally. It doesn't stop me from doing anything.
Yeah.
Should they still now bring that up to the to their spouse? Should they still now let that be something that the spouse, if for them it's been
dealt with?
Yeah, it's been dealt with. Because obviously there are relationships where people are going through stuff and the spouse is just like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you always behaving like this? Why don't you tell me stuff?
Yeah.
Why you treat me like this? Why is it when I ask you to do this, you react this particular way? Why do you shout? Why do you this? Do you know what I mean? Why do you... All of these things, and it's always why? But then sometimes you think to yourself, well, if there is so many whys going on, is the spouse not going to stop and think, no, wait, what have you gone through in your life that is causing you to behave this way? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, not everybody thinks
It's
like
like-
that. I think that's a challenge.
You think so?
Yeah, not
So you think
everybody-
if someone's constantly just like acting up, the wife won't think, or the husband won't think something's not right with that person?
like so many people, I feel, live in the now, live in this moment that they don't, and this depends on worldview as well. Some people have got no view of the past. Like I think it takes a special kind of person to acknowledge the past as fodder, fuel, like wisdom for the future. And I don't think everybody sees it that way. And my prayer is that we all kind of develop and grow and understand that history really plays a part in terms of how we are able to succeed in the days ahead. I'm not saying you need to know everything, but I'm saying even if we take stock of our own past, our own history, that alone, talk less of our country or our continent or the global history. I think these things are really, really important. And I genuinely don't feel as though everybody has that view. Some people think that the history is garbage and all that's important is right now, right here, right now. And I think this is a reality. So some people get caught up in living in this very moment. Some people don't even take the last week into consideration. They only focus on today. And I think that when you kind of look at that on a macro level, like a high level, I think what you see is that is a proponent of why some people are not succeeding, because they make the same mistakes again and again and again. Relationship to relationship, they're always right. Relationship to relationship, there's nothing wrong with them. Do you know what I mean? Their mama told them that, men are the issue, or their daddy told them that girls are the issue, and that's just what it is. And they carry that because, okay, that's them adopting a lesson from the past, but it's like they lived that in the moment because it was a seed that was sown when they were younger and they run with it. That's what I feel. I don't think that everyone picks it up. Like, how can spouses really get to know each other? How can spouses really? We spoke. I know, and I guess it's nice how this kind of flows in from our last episode.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
But how can spouses really get to know each other? You've got two people courting, considering getting married, and they're talking all the usual stuff. Oh, my parents are from here. My dad works here. My mum works here. Or one parent is estranged. Whatever it is, like this is how many siblings I've got. But what can a couple really do to develop that understanding?
Are they married now?
That typical. No, I'm saying they're courting. These are courting. They're courting. What can they do? We'll come to the married folk in a minute.
I mean, the first thing I'd say is just spend a lot of time talking. You just want to spend a lot of time talking.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the times people get carried away with, oh, are you going to take me to this restaurant? Are we going to go here? Are we going to go there? Are we going to go to this cinema? Blah, 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 blah. During these courting stages. Oh, what are we going to do? We're going to go, do you know what I mean? But I feel like people just need to spend time talking. If you can build a relationship that starts off in conversation, it ends in conversation. Okay. If you can build a relationship, that conversation, friendship is your foundation, then when it comes to your spouse opening up, they know that, look, this is my friend. They're not just going to neglect me. My spouse is for me. They're not against me. Like, Do you know what I'm saying? But then there has to be the level of, I can trust this person with anything. If I trust this person and they betray me, then obviously there's reason to not trust at that time. But you want to be able to have the mindset of, okay, I trust this person, and not have as much reservations in a sense, because it is important for the person that you're going to marry to know certain things about you before they marry you. And I mean, like on the last show, we spoke about the lady, the spouse who hides that they have a child, but because they didn't raise the child's not in their environment, the child's somewhere else, that they never mention they have a child because they just don't need to. The child's adopted, whatever it may be. But to be fair, for the person that they're marrying, it's important for them to know that you have a child, adopted or not, you raise them or not, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's important for them to know that this thing exists and this thing has been or is a part of your life. Yeah. You know, so for me, it's all about communication. That has to be it has to be the foundation, because if the communication isn't there, how can we talk about things that are going to technically set us free, in a sense, in our relationship? You know, powerful. Because there are people walking around with baggage and load from the past, or even in the now, you know, because even one of the things I was going to say is, if there is a spouse who is, what's the word? Unfaithful to their spouse, and they know that this is going to cause the spouse to leave them, they have to give that spouse the opportunity to make that decision. It's not fair. It's not right. At the end of the day, some of these things are just not right, because it's selfish in a sense. A lot of the times, these things that are happening is because people want to keep doing certain things. It's because people don't want to have that mask taken off, because then it's like, oh, I can't do this anymore. If I tell the person, they can't do this anymore. You know, we hear, countless of times, and you see it all the time, where people are being addicted to pornography. People are addicted to particular online sites. People are addicted to gambling, and they don't tell their spouse until they get a knock on the door, and it's a creditor saying they're coming to take the house. And it's just like, what do you mean? So there are so many different things that come into play. So when two people are coming together, they have to be able to understand that, look, there shouldn't be any barrier between us that can pull what we're trying to build down, and if they understand that, then they're off to a good start. Because if there are leaving gaps and they're building barriers that things can come and begin to pull the bricks away, then they're going to have a marriage that is crumbling. But in order to have a marriage that is sustainable and that is strong, there should be no secrets. There should be no hidden agendas. There should be no outsiders who have more information about you than your spouse. There should be things that, it's like full access granted.
Yeah, come on.
Full access has to be granted to the spouse for them to understand that, okay, if anything happens, I'm the only one that has the access code to shut stuff down.
Yeah.
No one else should have those codes. No one else should have those codes. The same way people are out here having passwords and your marriage needs to have passwords. Your marriage needs to have codes that only it's just between the two people. And if anything, there's always that one extra person that kind of knows stuff, because the couple is accountable to them.
Yeah.
So they're there just to help. And if so there are things that people can put in place to safeguard their marriages.
100%.
And for me, I do believe that, like, if a lot of people sorted out and did certain things before they were married or early stages of marriage, divorce would be it'd be less.
I agree.
It'd be less, because people are getting married and finding out that they've married someone that isn't who they thought they were. So they're leaving these people. People are breaking up because, you know what? It reminds me of that article that we read about this guy who divorced
the woman because
he found that she wasn't even really female or something like that.
Really?
You remember the one Thailand one crazy article like this?
No.
But then these things happen. Obviously, that one is an extreme. Yeah. But people are out here marrying. You know, you've got people that hide their certain lifestyles that they do. They're one person outside and they marry a woman who's from a different place, and she's got nothing to do with this lifestyle that they're in. So they never expose that part of their life to. But some way, somehow, these things are gonna come knock at the door.
Absolutely.
Some way, these secrets are gonna come knocking at the door. So it's either, people are able to get to the place where they say to themselves, you know what, my marriage is everlasting. It's everlasting. This is not a temporary fix. It's not a temporary thing. So whatever happens, I have to ensure that my husband or my wife knows everything. As hard as it may be. As hard as it may be. But then again, that's why communication is so important in this particular area. Spouses are lying to each other all the time. Spouses don't know how much money they've got in the bank. We've got separate bank accounts. We've got bills coming out of different places. We've got like family members that are giving certain advice to the husband or to the wife, and they're not going back and saying, "Oh, by the way, my mum told me this." And it's just like, what? Whereas they'll keep it to themselves. The mum might say something and they won't go back and tell the husband until something happens, and it's just like, "Oh, it was my mum that told me." It's like, what? Oh, now your mum. So it's just kind of like there are things. And for me, this is the thing. It's like marriage is very delicate. It's a very delicate thing. At the same time, it's a very strong thing. It has, people shouldn't abuse the fact that, they're married. So it's, I don't have to tell you, or why should I tell you? Do you know what I'm saying? So I really feel like people need to understand that they can't just do whatever they want.
I think that was quite a good description of marriage in that sense. And when you think about, like an analogy, think about the human body. You can have some people that are really strong, or
parts
really,
of the body that are really strong.
That's exactly right. That are really powerful. But then the eyes and kind of the ears, the nose, those things are very kind of the tongue. Those things are susceptible, a lot more susceptible to pain or to injury than other parts of the body. So it's what you said is right. You can have a marriage that's very components of the marriage that are very strong, but then other components of the marriage that are much more susceptible to injury, to problems. So that's powerful. I think you tackled something in what you shared, and I think that's something we should maybe camp on before we go to the comments. See, you spoke about sins, and I want to talk about that secret sin. Those people that partake in things that are just them. Do you know what I'm saying? They do just alone, that nobody knows, their spouse doesn't know, and really talking about out in those kind of things as well, because we've spoken about things in the past. They were a different person before they got married. That aspect. But what about those people who are wearing a mask today, who are operating in sin today, operating in an area of their relationship, in an area of marriage that's unhealthy? And I think those things are key. And maybe a question to everyone who's out there today, the question is really, what is the most serious thing, if you feel to share, we're in a safe zone here, that you've revealed to your spouse, or that that has been revealed to a spouse after marriage, maybe? Talk to us about that. So I think secret sin is key. And maybe just to summarize, not even to make it a big piece, because you've tackled it quite a fair amount. People think that, while they're getting away with this kind of secret pleasure, it could be adultery, it could be pornography, it could be just like a lust that they have, and that they're kind of fulfilling. They're finding feeding it, and they're finding fulfillment in that. The reality is, as much as they may feel as though for them it's okay, like they're getting this kind of hit, this endorphin rush out of it, the reality is, as you've said, it's eating away at them. And
That's
in
right.
time, it will become abundantly evident. It eats away at the relationship. And then you have to think about, there are kind of extremities to the relationship that are affected. Other external relationships, children might be involved. You understand? It's like work, even like work and other things businesses are also affected by those secret sins. And what's important is, I think a lot of people think, no one sees it. God sees. And the fact that God sees means that it's like the judgment lies at his level. So those things will be exposed one way or another at some point in time, and the effects of those things will affect the relationship. They will affect the individual at one point in time. And I think that's just something that bears noting. I thought we might kind of go into it a bit more, but it's one of those things there. So just in summary, because I feel like this could seem like a bit of a, one of those heavy kind of subjects. I think it's important for us to really address this. To my spiritual people, I'm talking to you with prayer. I think like you hear me mention this fairly regularly, and I think prayer is important. Pray about these things personally. If you feel that you really need assistance, that's another way to go to your spouse about it and say, look, you know what, I'm really going through something. There's something that I've been dealing with for quite some time. It's from way back. I feel as though it's overcome, but I feel as I need you to join me in prayer over this. And that's another way to bring it up. Can you pray with me over this situation, over this circumstance that happened years ago? Why have you never told me about this? I know it's something that they felt a lot of shame about, or they felt a lot of X, Y, and Z about, but based on like being new and our relationship and the depth and the strength, I feel that we should join together in the sight of God over these things. That's one way. That's not the way everyone can deal with it, especially if you're outside of the household of faith and you're kind of in a more natural perspective. You have to address this in a much more logical way, or rather in a much more natural, not logical, in a much more natural way. And it may be as simple as saying, you know what, there's some things I've been dealing with from my past, and I think it might be advisable for us to sit in with a counsellor, or to have a third party sitting with us so we can discuss them, because I think that it's really important, and that alone may pique the interest of your spouse, your partner, and kind of give you a way to gauge their view and their take on this particular scenario. I know this was a bit of a tough one today, guys, and I know this wasn't one of those kind of juicy topics that everyone likes to jump over, but I think it was really important for us to tackle this and really talk about the masterly marriage. And I think maybe we'll come back to this again in the days ahead. Yeah. Jump into some comments?
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I think next stream, guys, another one that's kind of tackling on this. We'll be talking about forgiveness, I think. So we'll be talking about forgiveness, tackling forgiveness. We need to have I need to have a discussion with Sister Says, but I think that's what we're going to tackle coming up next, before I let you guys know that. So, what have we got?
Well, we've got greetings. We've got greetings from the community.
Any questions?
We've got Ecosmio. She says, they say some women like their men with a mysterious side.
Yeah, it's true. I hear that. It's funny.
What kind of mystery?
It's funny. Obviously, some guys are like that as well, Some males like, I think it's like that. Just as human nature, we're attracted. And I said it, I think last stream, that when a woman bears all, like in today's day and age, it's like, oh wow, she's hot, that she's fine. But what a lot of people don't understand is, a man isn't fully kind of like physically he's aroused, but intellectually. Do you know what I'm saying? He's not necessarily aroused. There are other layers to the man. Spiritually, there's nothing arousing about seeing a woman who bears all. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like they're talking to a man on a particular level. So when we talk about that mysterious side, I think that tends more to the kind of the psychological, the kind of spiritual, and I think we all have that kind of capacity for attraction. But yeah, I think we need to have a little bit more of a transparent entrance to relationships, and a developmental plan for transparency when we enter into marriage, I think.
I mean, for me, on that one, it's like, when I think about the mysterious side, I always kind of think, a woman kind of likes when a man's maybe not really telling her where he's taking her on a holiday, or how he's gonna wine and dine her, or what surprises he has up his sleeve. Not man was a serial killer and that's his mysterious side. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's no one wants that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, not that kind of mysterious side, in a sense, because that's beyond mysterious. That's like, criminal kind of thing.
Big time.
So and that can affect things on a major scale.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Agreed. Ecosmos is smiling about that. She says, big error.
Yeah, and that was regarding important question when regarding should you tell it all or not?
Yeah.
Should there be
keeping it back, hiding things.
Yeah. Ecosmos says, important question. When is the time to bear all? Courting, counselling, wedding night, 50th or 50th anniversary?
You want to tackle that?
Well, I mean, See, I'm still in two minds about the courting and when they're married.
Yeah.
Because, again, you know, like we said, courting is a good time because then you know if you tell this person everything and they take it, then you've told them they're marrying you, knowing everything about you, knowing that you're not keeping anything behind. And it even creates a more blissful marriage because the husband or the wife is like, wow, like, you told me this. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I love you even more for telling me this. I want to marry you even more because I know when things happen, you can come to me with it. If you can come to me with this now before we're even married, you're going to come to me with anything when we are married. So it creates I feel like it creates a really good foundation for when people are starting off from courting, being able to put it all on the table, because then it gives the spouse the confidence that when they are married, there shouldn't be anything that they can't say. If you can tell me something this heavy now and you know I can walk away, what would you keep from me when we are married? Yeah. Knowing that I can still walk away.
So you're saying that's a good foundation to
It's a good foundation to start.
I agree.
During
I agree.
courting.
I agree
It's a
totally.
good foundation to start.
Yeah, I think I'd say like because it really depends on what stage of the relationship they are. So obviously it's a great point. I think if they are in those early stages, then courting is definitely the place. We've advocated it.
Yeah.
Stream on stream, episode on episode. You need to ask the hard questions very early. You know what I'm saying? Have you been in trouble with the law? That needs to be a question that you're asking this person. Do you know what I'm saying? Real early. Do you know what I mean? Is there an open warrant for you somewhere? You know what I mean? Are they going to come and try to collect you in the night? Yeah. Just like, are you gang affiliated? It's like, these are...
That reminds me, funny enough, of an article I read. I think of this American lady. She was married to this guy. She thought he was a doctor. I don't know if you saw that article.
We were together.
And he was apparently, he was some runaway prisoner or something.
He was married before with children. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
I think that was last year, saying.
You know, it was definitely last year. So obviously there are people who are living these lives who are blatantly going into it, knowing
he was going to the hospital every day, like you say, he was a doctor, but he wasn't a doctor. He was a cleaner in hospital.
Something like that, and the wife never knew. But my thing regarding that is, should his pay package have not reflected his job role?
Boy, if, like you said, if someone, you're saying that with the assumption that, oh, I know what he gets, he may not be revealing all that he gets. Do you know what I'm saying? He might be taking care of some bills, but not all bills. Oh no, honey, we're saving. Oh no, honey, we ain't buying that. Or this month, or it depends how people present themselves. So yeah, I think that was a good thing to bring up though. I think early stages courting is ideal. Counselling and a wedding night. I think wedding night. I don't think the wedding night's I agree with you, man. I don't think the wedding night is a night for that.
Forget it. You might as well do it on the 50th anniversary. So
ban that. So I think if they're already married, I think it's something that we need to kick off
definitely
as early as possible. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? But finding the right time and doing it prayerfully. If this is pre-marriage, then obviously during that courting period, if there are things that have not been opened up before, like when you guys met, then I think that's a time for you to really start to do a lot of deep discovery about each other so that you can be clear on if this is where I want to go, if this isn't where I want to go, and really get those things out there. So I think it depends, couple to couple, scenario to scenario, and do all things prayerfully, please.
Yeah, because even sometimes some people might get to the courting stage and start telling one person about themselves and realize, oh my gosh, like my life, I've gone through, or I've done things far so much worse than the spouse. Yeah. Like, how they're gonna, but you've told them. Yeah. You've told them now, so they know who they're marrying. Yeah. And this is the point. Like, hidden secrets in marriage, wearing masks, being someone else, being two people, playing Jekyll and Hyde, in marriage is wrong. Yeah. It's fully wrong, like, regardless. I mean, even just when you think about it, just in the normal sense, if you've got a friend that is one way with you, and then they're one way with another one of your friends, you're going to be like, yo, like, what's going on with you? Like, one with me, you're like this, with this person, you're like that. Like, who are you? Which
one are you? Exactly.
Who's
the real you?
Yeah, who's the real you? Are you giving friend A the real you, and I'm getting the leftovers, or if it's friend A getting the but even just in that setting, just as friends, you're not going to feel comfortable knowing that your friend is one way with one person, one way. Do you get what I'm saying? So, more or less, in a marriage, a husband shouldn't be experiencing that, and a wife shouldn't be experiencing that either. So it's very important that we really begin to grasp the fact that we need to discuss these things from early.
100%.
Go on, hon.
Grace, how do you determine what is necessary and what is not to share in a marriage? What if some people just don't feel the need to share said piece of information, but some see it as important? And you know that's you're not.
I'm just saying. I think we kind of touched on that, but you can elaborate.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful question. In fact, just to draw out, because what we need to understand is that not every marriage is equal. Not every marriage is the same. Like you said just now, there are some spouses who might have done way worse than another in their past. There are some spouses who there is no dirty laundry in that sense. And if you compare their relationship to another, it's nothing deep. And I think what's key is we started this. I raised the point earlier that you had brought up, re-emphasized the point you brought, that people are different in marriage. And I think it's really about, for me, Grace, it's really about working through these relationships scenario by scenario. One thing that was said earlier on was that if this thing is really heavy on you,
and it's eating them up,
if it's pressing on you, that's something you need to address
100%.
in due course. And I think outside of that, it really comes down to your convictions personally, your worldview personally, and the type of trust you want to develop in your relationship. If you're really trying to build a base for trust, then you need to speak. You need to speak and things need to come out. So it's not like, I don't know, it's a funny question in a way, because it's like, do I just sit down and be like, you know what, I need to talk to you. We sit down and then you just start offloading everything, going 1991 and then 1992, and then, you know, there was on the third month of 1987 that my parents told me this is what happened, but this is, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I understand that there could be, from what we're saying, this compulsion to want to offload everything. I think it's about evaluating personally in your scenario, what are those significant things. We spoke about kind of like rape and kind of, you know, abuse and those kind of things that are really relationship impacting or character shaping. I think those things are really, really key. You know, your boss stepped on your foot one day at work and you had to get compensation. That you know, that's not going to be on the top of the list. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about things that really can impact the marriage or that can impact ourselves. And another reason why this is really important is because our focus is to develop strong relationships, strong bonds. The hope is for us to raise children. We're here saying marriage matters because not only are the two individuals in the relationship here important, but also the children, the community that they're in is important. So these are the things we need to think about, because we are leaders, we are environment changers, impactors of environment. So we need to be super mindful of that.
Can I just ask a question on
of
top
course.
of that, right? So obviously it's like some people experience particular health issues pre-marriage, right? And again, this is why it's really important to keep yourself before marriage, because people who are having sex outside of marriage could have contracted some kind of STDs and all that kind of stuff. Like, should they be telling? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
If we talk about
these things, I think these things should be coming out, because again, like I said, it's all about friendship and it's all about building this foundation of we can tell each other anything, you know. So if a guy, let's just say a guy has experienced, had certain health issues because he was having sex outside of marriage before he was married, and now he's meeting someone and he's marrying her, like for him, he might be like, that is not, she don't ever need to know about that. Like, that was the past. He was doing these things and he contracted all these things. So for him, he might just be like, no, that, like, I'm not talking about, I'm never going to talk about that. So for him, he might not see that as important piece of information, because it's something that he just doesn't even want to discuss. But for her, could that be important information? Do you see, like, this is the whole premarital thing, like, would that benefit they're going on? Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I feel like there might be certain things that probably just somebody probably wouldn't ever really talk about,
even though they might need to. You're saying,
even though they might need to.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. That's why we're having a conversation today, because there are a lot of people who are hiding things that probably ought to be said but have not been. And I think really, you know, foundationally, people, this is what it comes down to. Do you really love your spouse? And an attribute of love is selflessness.
That's right.
You don't do it because it benefits you. You do it because it benefits your spouse. And I think this is
you as a
and the two of you, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yes. And I think that's what's really important. And if we really are able to dig deep and examine ourselves on that level, I think we get the kind of clarity that's necessary to assist in this situation. It's not it doesn't come down to, am I gonna be okay? Are they gonna stay with me? It's really about and this is why I made that point earlier on, like, because it's really about, does this help them? Does this help them to have a full picture, build a picture of trust for us to love? This is why I said earlier on, some people are like, my spouse don't care about that. My spouse ain't concerned about the past. And the reality is, there are some things, imagine what we're talking about now. Imagine someone has a disease, if they've contracted something that's maybe debilitating or that can be transmitted. Yeah, and you say, well, my spouse don't care about that. They don't care about those things there. But now they be giving them something that affects them. That's real. That's real important. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
You gotta have these deep conversations, these hard talks. You know, sometimes no one wants to do it, but someone gotta do it.
Yeah, we kind of tacked on this. Like Ecosmio says, but what if you're a new creature? And this is the reality. You are a new creature.
Yeah.
For those of you who are in the kingdom, you are. But I shouldn't say but. You're a new creature that has a history.
Yeah.
And I think that there are aspects of that history that need to be discussed. Like I just said now, if the person's a new creature and they're claiming full spiritual cleansing from all STDs that they've contracted in their life, and they're failing to kind of be open with their spouse about that, I think that can be an issue. I think that can be problematic. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think for me, this is really about integrity. I think integrity is really important in relationships, and we need to weigh and really kind of evaluate the level and degree of our integrity. Remember what I said before? Yeah, master a measure of our maturity. Master a measure of our maturity. That's so good. What we come to understand is that if I'm wearing this really thick mask, I'm hiding lots of stuff, the person's constantly lying, all that kind of stuff, what they're doing is failing to expose themselves, failing to be honest with themselves, failing to be honest with others. And that shows a low spiritual maturity. I'm not talking about your natural age, how old you are naturally. I'm talking about your spiritual cognition, your psychological maturity. And those things are demonstrated by how bold you can be of yourself. And I don't mean go out and expose yourself to everybody like that. I mean how you can handle yourself in a with the word, how you can handle yourself spiritually, basically. So I hope I'm doing well to articulate that. And if you've got any questions about that, come on, chuck them in the comment box and we'll have that up. Where do we get to? You're a new creature. Kat Johnson says she's in the house. Evening, Kat Johnson. How you doing? How you doing? I ain't seen you for a minute. Ecosmio said, should you bring up all of your past sins you may have paid for already? All right.
I think we just kind of
no. Let me tackle this real deeply. I think the scripture is clear, and when it tells us that, you know, God forgets sins, like he removes them, chooses to remove them from his memory when we come to him and seek out forgiveness. And I think it's important. Some of these things should be revealed in marriage where necessary. I don't think the question was phrased very well. I don't think you need to bring up all of your past sins. I think it's those things that are relevant to character development and that can affect your relationship. I think those things are really, really important. And it goes on as well in terms of the way that your marriage can minister to other people. Yeah. Right? This is very, very key, because marriage essentially is a ministry of helps. We might not understand that marriage is a ministry of helps. It's that as we grow and as we develop, we're able to kind of feed into those who have come after us. Basically, we're able to sow into them with the experience and the grace that God has given to us. So we need to be well poised in terms of our transparency in marriage. It's super important. It's super important. Super important. You got anything more on that?
No, I think that was really good. Super.
All right. Cool. Thank you so much. Grace says, good question. I think that's right. I'm in the right place here. All right, then. Grace says, honestly, he's dead wrong for sitting next to her for 6 years, watching her and knowing her stance on it while keeping that from her. Quite selfish. If she leaves, it's his fault. I understand why you say that. And listen, I can agree with you. You sound kind of real.
Yeah, strong and adamant on that.
I don't want to say hurt, but really kind of adamant about that. And I can feel your space. I feel the emotion there. And one of the things we need to consider is his side as well, or her side if it was a her in this situation.
It's not easy.
That's the point.
It's not an easy thing.
And it's
like, I mean, he didn't know he was gonna meet somebody who was so against that, you know, because you get to know people as you go on. It's not straight where you meet someone and you know their opinions and views. That's right. Life views on every.
Especially if you're not having good conversation, you're not asking hard questions, you're not developing that way.
Exactly, on every topic. These things can come out actually years down the line.
Some people just be smiling, eating cheeseburgers and watching movies.
That's right.
That's the problem.
So it's a hard thing. Some people who have really gone through certain things in their lives or have done certain things in their lives have hurt people or have been hurt
themselves.
It's a hard topic, full stop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for a woman to even come out and say to her husband, Toby, oh, she's had 20 partners in the past. More or less,
and 5 abortions.
More or less someone coming out to say they've hurt someone, and they've hurt people, or whatever it may be. Do you know what I mean? Or they hurt them. So, but then the funny, because these people meet people and they marry people.
That's right. Of course they do.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Of course they do.
People come out of institutions and they live a life, and then they meet someone and they marry this person. It's beneficial if they were so able to tell the person straight away, look, they came out of jail, this is what they did, blah, 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 this is what happened to them in the 80s, whatever.
And sometimes they get the opportunity to do that, but not always.
So more or less. But then this is the thing, it's just like, for me, I am not belittling anyone's situation.
At all.
God forbid. I'm not belittling anyone's situation. And I'm not sitting here saying, oh, it doesn't matter what you've done, it's easy, just tell somebody, blah, 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 tell your spouse. No. This is why there are things that can be put in place for couples to sit down to open up to each other.
That's real.
You understand? So it's not a thing of where you don't have no option, you don't have no space, you don't have an open door, you don't have the opportunity. The opportunities are there and can be created, right? So for me, it's so important for couples to understand that, look, if a wife is experiencing something and she's finding it hard to tell her husband, there are opportunities and measures that she can put in place to get this thing told. If it's because, look, certain things that people are holding, they're stopping their marriages from growing.
Come on.
They're holding their marriages back. You understand? Every time something happens, they take 2 steps forward, then they take 10 steps back.
That's right.
And you're never getting past a particular point because of things that are being held, secrets that are being held in your marriage. You understand? So it's vitally important to find a way to tell the person that you lie down next to every night that, look, this is what's happened, this is what happened, this is what is happening. Because it's not always about the past.
Come on.
People are experiencing things now that they're not talking about. People have started bad habits now that they're not talking about. Since they've got married. Some of these things are not even pre-marriage.
That's right.
You understand? They're in the marriage that things are taking place. So, it's not even always the past that we're talking about here, So for me, it's so important for people to understand that they need to get help.
Yeah. I think you need to reach out. It's important to reach out.
Definitely.
And I think, Grace, that was a great question. The question kind of ties in with what Cosmos was saying previously about what if you're a new creature. And like there can be this mindset that, being born again, enter into the kingdom of God, being a Christian means like this automatic outward transformation. And I'll be honest with you, it's like God has shown us a lot of grace. Like we've come a long way. There's been a lot of kind of negative in our past, negative that we've been involved in. But God has given us grace, and that's why we choose never to look down on other people because we know where we've come from. We know where God has brought us from. And it wasn't this kind of automatic outward transformation. Some things kind of change instantly. Some things. Like your spirit man changes instantly. That's right. And when I say some things, I mean outwardly, some things do shift quite quickly. But there are other things that take time. I remember going through a scenario and not having the boldness to tell somebody or other people things that were going on at the time. And that's because of how I saw the situation. So it's not always... And
also how you perceive the person that you want to tell.
Absolutely.
This is the thing as well. Sometimes some people perceive people in a certain way that they're just like, I can't tell her, I can't tell him, I can't tell my mum, I can't tell my dad because of how are they going to respond? They might respond this way. I know them to behave this way. I know them to react this way. Sometimes it even just depends on on how we are looking at the person that we want to tell.
And I mentioned it on a stream. I don't know if it was here or if it was like a sermon stream previously, but the Lord was ministering to me about fear. And when you're on this side of the wall, it looks a particular way. It always looks different when you've gone over to the other side. When you've overcome, when you've beat it, it always looks different. And I'll give you another addition to that. For us who are looking from the outside, we always have an opinion too. And it's like, why ain't you done it? You should have done it. It's simple to do, but in in real terms, it's not always that simple. So
True.
great question.
True. Thank you so much.
Let's jump forward. We got Grace says, "Oh, if he said it early on, he could have saved the heartache and known her reaction years ago." That's true. That is true.
True.
We see that. Who's next?
Ecosmios says, it's not that. It's not they are keeping things. It's more like they feel it's not relevant to, or there is no point confiding.
Yeah. So I feel as though, correct me if I'm wrong, Ecosmios, but you're just saying different people have different reasons for not sharing, basically. And I think we spoke about it before. Some people will spin it from the perspective of their spouse, where they're not interested in those things, they don't care about that. And then other people from their own position, some of these things are, it's just not important anymore. Oh yeah, there's no point telling them because, it just doesn't matter. So, and we will always find resistance to growth. We will always find, there will always be resistance to our development and to our growth. And those are things that we need to factor in, honestly.
I mean, even also on that point, people don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So something that you don't feel is relevant now, something that you've been through, you don't feel is relevant now, that person doesn't know 5, 4 years, however many years from now, they might start experiencing something that takes them back to that place.
Come on.
But if they told their spouse would notice, their spouse would know and be able to support them and pull them out of that situation.
That's right.
So, a lot of times when people think things are not relevant, let the person tell you it's not relevant. Let your spouse tell you it's not relevant before you go and think it's not relevant for them. Because, again, this is where a lot of the times marriages need to understand that there is a lifeline that is in marriage. There's something for us to hold on to. When we're sinking, there's supposed to be something to be there for our spouse to use to pull us up. And a lot of the times, all these, I don't think it's relevant, I don't think it's important, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I like this, I don't like that. Or maybe I should. All of these things can come into play later. You understand? Sometimes, okay, I don't know. Let's just pull out an example here. On this particular topic, a woman might be like, oh, she had a shopping problem when she was younger, when she was in her 20s, she shop, she liked to spend money, but then a few years now she's married, she's saving, she's doing this, all of a sudden she starts finding that she's starting to have a spending habit that is not helpful to the marriage. The husband never knew she had a shopping addiction before they got together. Now he's starting to see bags and he's thinking, what's going on? Just thinking it's a general shop, not knowing that it's an addiction that she had when she was younger that is now creeping back into their marriage. So someone will blatantly think that's not relevant. Someone will think, I used to like to shop, I used to like to spend a lot of money on silly things, that's not relevant. I used to like to collect things, that's not relevant. Do you get what I'm saying? But it might be relevant. This thing can come up, and the only way for your spouse to know that something is, hun, you told me that you had a shopping issue back in the day. I think this might be the issue coming back. Like, what's going on? Oh, no, hun. Let's have a look. You understand? And it's all, for me, it's the more we're open to each other, the more we're saying, when I'm drowning, you need to catch me. You understand? You need to fetch me. That's
a powerful point. I think it ferments the union.
It does.
It ferments the unity.
It does.
It adds greater robustness and resilience, greater integrity to the union of marriage.
And as well, we shouldn't be scared. We shouldn't, obviously you just mentioned it, but the fear of how people will look at us shouldn't be, we shouldn't have that thing of how is my spouse going to look at me? Because they're looking at you all the time. So that's definitely something that people shouldn't bring into their marriage. The fear of, how's my spouse going to look at me? How are they going to perceive me? How are they? Do you know what I'm saying? It's not something that we want to bring into our marriage. And these are the things that we're fed from outside.
Yeah, that's right.
We're fed these things from outside. We're fed these things by media. We're fed these things by certain industries that constantly want to make certain people look inferior and another person look underneath another person, all these kind of things. So we have to remember as well that with all of these things, there are other things at play here that can affect us from being 100% honest and open to our spouse.
Come on, that's powerful.
Right? So
that's powerful stuff. Come on now. Don't let the media, don't let the outside, don't let the external dictate the standard of your marriage.
That's right.
What we got here?
Damilola.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Damilola is back. Thank you. You've been with us for a few streams. We welcome you back. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Damilola says, how about men that fear their wife's reaction? I think Sarah just kind of tackled that.
Okay, so maybe Damilola wasn't there at the point of that stream, but I gave the example of a man who has done certain things in his past that has a past, hurting women or whatever, and then obviously he changed and he married this woman.
He was an abuser.
Excuse me. And he's married this woman, and she has very strong views on against it, and he's finding it extremely difficult to tell his wife based on what he knows and her reaction to be and how she feels about these things. But this is his past and he really wants to share it with her, but he kind of has this feeling, well, I know her stance on this, and if I tell her this is what I used to be, is she gonna look at me? Because a lot of times people have this thing of, depending on what it is, it's just like, are they gonna fear me? Are they gonna be scared of me?
That's right.
Are they gonna be able to sleep at night?
Will it change the way they view me?
That's right. And it's not even a fear thing. It's literally just the thing of where, am I going to now be this morphed character, this morphed person to my wife, to my husband? So a lot of the times, men fear the reactions of their spouses. They are afraid. But then this is why we were saying that it's important to probably have these particular conversations pre-marriage, even just in the friendship stage. Just in the friendship stage, you're not even courting yet, but you're friending this person, you start to tell the person about your past because you know in your mind that, look, I want to take this somewhere, but right now she's my friend. Let me start telling her certain things opening up to her about my past, and let me see how she reacts.
That's right.
Let me see how she takes it. If she runs it, she's clearly not going to be my wife.
That's right. I think it's a thank you so much for the question, Damilola.
Thank you.
I think what's important for us to understand is that firstly, not everybody is for us. Not everybody we come in contact with, every person you date, every fine person that you see that you say yes, right. Yeah, my sisters, see those fine guys, those guys seeing those fine my sisters. It's like
calling him babe.
Come on now, it's not every person that we connect with that is genuinely going to be for us. So we need to be bold enough to test the water. I don't mean try before you buy. We talk about that. I'm talking about, that's right, communicate. You have to have those conversations and see how they respond.
That's right.
They might say some things that you don't understand, that you think are kind of odd. Probe more. Go deeper. Understand the spirit of that person.
Because when you put friendship first, okay, especially during the stages of courting, when you put friendship first, you're kind of building that relationship that is going to be strong, because it's kind of like saying to someone, you know me better than anyone else.
Yeah.
But not just the fact that you know me better than anyone else. I want to take this to the next level.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And that's very important. And that's very important. Those of us that have married people that were our friends. And, sometimes it even goes beyond just, oh, lovey-dovey, oh, I love you. Now, you're just like, I feel secure with you. I can be who I am with you.
That's right.
So let's pray about this and see if this is where the Lord wants us to go. Because sometimes people are out here waiting 3-4 years and you're still caught in the wrong person.
Come on. Boom.
You're still caught in the wrong person.
You don't hear that yet.
Do you get what I'm saying?
But
you've got people who've been friends for 2 years, and their friendship is so deep that the man says, you know what?
You're the one.
You're the one. And she's just like, I know that I'm the one. I thought I'd just throw that in there.
But said, or can the Lord say, don't tell your wife or husband? Listen. Okay, so
hey, where's he cost me? He cost me a answer that question.
What was I gonna say? Listen.
I need him thy word on this chat.
I believe that it's a good point. It's a good point. I believe that, listen, the Lord can say to you, there are things that the Lord has told me not to mention to Sarah at a particular point in time, and it's been so. The Lord knows when I'm ready to hear it. 100%. I don't believe this, and this is why we need to be careful. That's a great question anyway.
It is a good question.
I don't believe that I don't believe that the Lord will bring division between a house.
Preach.
All right? The Lord won't bring division between a house. He won't do that. Yet, and let me be careful. I will say, let me add some layers to this. see what Damilola is saying here. Yeah, a lot of people be saying, the Lord told me not to tell them, and it's the flesh.
Imagine.
And we need to be careful. We don't use the Lord's name in vain, or we're using the Lord as an excuse.
That's right.
Not to reveal what is to be revealed.
That's right.
All right. This is very, very important.
I mean, however, if a man is praying about revealing something to his wife, and the Lord is prompting him not to say something now, because the Lord knows how the wife is going to react, and if the husband should keep praying, Lord, when can I tell her? When can I reveal this to her? Not, don't say anything. And it's just like, the Lord said, don't say anything. Yeah. So 4 years has gone past and the Lord told you understand? And just because you heard that you didn't keep praying, especially if it's a situation that is heavy on your heart, the Lord wants you to be set free. The Lord doesn't want us to live in relationships that we're feeling bound and heavy and weighed down. So if it's a thing of don't tell your wife, it has to be a thing of Lord, when can I reveal it to her?
Yeah. So listen. Let me say this now. My point is, I hear what Sister Sarah saying, and I don't wanna chop her up. What I'm gonna say is this: look, the Lord can say to you, no, don't tell them. The Lord can say to you, tell them. As she said, you can inquire on timing, and the Lord can reveal timing to you. I know for certain the Lord will not bring division between a house. That is not God. So we need to be mindful of that. And let's not be using the Lord's name as an excuse for us not to do what we're supposed to do. All right? So if this is the first time some people have heard the Lord minister to them in their entire life, I know for certain. I heard it. The Lord said to me not to tell him or not to tell her. Listen, go back and pray. Seek counsel. Get someone else to be assist you in this one.
100%.
But it's important.
To go back.
The Lord can indeed give an instruction like that.
Definitely.
Absolutely, He can and He does. I know. I won't go into them stories now. It's late.
That's a good one.
So if they're bearing all, in courtship, what about multiple rejections via multiple relationships? If someone's bearing all and opening themselves up to each person they court early, get rejected, then bear all again after a few relationships, that's going to have an effect on their self-esteem, even soul ties through emotional connections.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll cap. Yeah, does it go on, or shall I stop here and we'll continue? Ecosmios says, but as a new creation, is it lying then? What if someone who has a somewhat high previous sexual partner number?
That's a different.
No, let's go here now. What if someone has a somewhat high previous sexual partner number, but when meeting for the first time starts off with she's a virgin? Well, that's a lie, 100%. But you can share the whole story later down the line. No. Don't do that. We'll pray for that person.
Oh my God.
That person needs to come on marriage. We'll lay hands. Virtual. We'll do virtual laying of hands. All right, so we'll take it back to the top. So look,
I think we tackled that.
Sarah's mentioned this earlier on. So if they're buried all in courtship, what about multiple rejections, soul ties from the relationship, the rejections? You want to take it, or you want me to come back with that?
No, you can go because I think I said that.
Yeah. So Sarah's mentioned it earlier on, and I think it's very, very key. Let me tackle this from a practical point. I'm not saying to you, like I've said it before. Early in your courtship, very early, you need to be having some difficult questions. Sarah made the point earlier on, even in the friendship zone, there are some questions that you need to be asking, all right? As the Spirit of God is leading you, I pray that we've got prayerful people here. Even if you're not a mature Christian, you should be praying about the person you're engaging with. This is an opportunity for you to develop your relationship with God.
That's right.
And I think what we need to be doing is we need to be considering the things that we ask. Yeah, they might think you crazy. If you the first question you ask, you sit down with the person. Hi, how you doing? Zeke, lovely to meet you, Princess. And the first time you sit down, you just say, so, have you ever been to jail? Or, look, did you? How are you paying for this today? By credit card or cash?
Wow.
It's like, some of that's
serious.
Can seem real off. Like they're gonna know you're serious, but that can seem off. So,
oh my days.
we wanna build this up over time. We wanna be like, you might wanna make your spouse feel. Listen, a touch. Your spouse, I said, the person you're courting, a touch kind of. Like uncomfortable, maybe not the first, maybe not the second, but between encounters 1 and 3, you want to kind of press in a little bit to get a view. I know some of us are like, I need to be on my best behavior all the time. I think adding pressure is not being on your best behavior, but you want to ask some questions, some meaningful questions. They might think, "Wow, you're full on your what so," but the important thing is that they understand you're in this thing for a long term. They might ask you, "Why are you asking me that?" And you say, "You know what? I watched this show called Marriage Matters, and Zeke and Sarah said when we date, if we're courting, we should ask some tough questions. Like that might be a like.
So then I watch Marriage Matters with them,
that might put them on a show. but the reality is, at that point in time, you're able to kind of break into this kind of stuff. I'm courting with it, or I'm checking out with a view of marriage.
That's right.
And so because of that, I've been encouraged and counselled to ask some tough questions early. They might take it well. They might not take it well. Oh, you want to get married? No, I'm not here for that. Then you might know that. Or, okay, I understand. And there's some development there. So I think that's important. Like I was saying earlier on, I don't think we should be exposing every single little detail. It was Ecosmos that asked earlier on, should we expose every sin, every past sin? And no, we shouldn't. But
we shouldn't really.
This is a potential of rejection, and let me. It's all right, and I'm gonna tap to the next point really quickly that you made, Ecosmios. The reason being because this is important. You made a point about self-esteem, and look, when we think about self-esteem, something we need to consider is this: our esteem should be based on Christ. I talk about self-esteem versus Christ esteem. You check out the Saturday streams if you want to hear some of that. But what's important about this here is I shouldn't be trying to date everybody under the sun and expose myself to them. I should be addressing these situations, like I said to you guys earlier on, prayerfully. All right? If you're married, you're having these hard conversations, go into them prayerfully. You know, it takes the grace of God for your spouse not to blow their top when the conversations are going on about the toilet seat being left up, or towels being dropped on the floor, or the laundry not being handled properly, or the credit cards not being balanced, whatever it might be. It takes the grace of God for us not to explode. Some people might be like, I just have good character. You may feel so, but the reality is it's God's grace that helps us. So even in these courting stages, we must be putting pressure on ourselves to develop our spirituality. Definitely. All right, we should be praying as we're going in. Let's say, I'm going on a date today. Fam, listen, you best be prayed up before you go out there, because some demons be showing up on those dating apps. It's true. Trying to catch people, trying to finish people off. So this is a reality that some people can find themselves in, where they're constantly being bombarded, broken, they're exposing themselves. So we need to be mindful on the layers of exposition. I don't expect someone to go on date one and say like, in a past life they raped somebody. It's like, come on now, kick back fam. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, we need to build it up with time and patience. And
my goodness.
Watch this. You're gonna feel a peace. Like when you begin to reveal some of these things, rejection may still come, but you will feel a peace at the space of the relationship, the way that it's matured, and at the point at which you're sharing certain things.
I want to ask the question. Any one of you watching, do you know of any situation in your circle, in your environment, or have you, like of real people that you know, who a spouse has revealed something and the other person has left? Like, if you do, let us know in the comments. And just because, you know what, or if they said something and they stayed. Because I feel like sometimes some people don't understand that these things we're having the conversations as if they might not have happened, or it might not, but as if these are hypotheticals and not real. Yes, exactly. But these are real situations, real life situations that people face on a daily basis. And again, like Dami Lola said, like a lot of people walk in fear.
100%.
A lot of people walk in fear, and fear is not our portion. We should not be we should fear God and God only.
Come on now.
We should fear God and God only. We should reverence our spouses. But above all, God should be the one that we fear. And most of the time, we are not able to be our true selves if we have these masks on. We're not capable of being the 100%. Which is just, it's impossible. It's impossible because obviously there's a calculation, it's 50-50. It's probably the world has come up with that 50-50 because they know people carry so much baggage that they're not sharing. So they're never really giving their spouse everything. And they can't be complete. Whereas we should be focusing on becoming or being 100%, which gives us, an even better fruitful marriage. And realistically, one of the ways to achieve that is to ensure that you are not keeping things from your spouse, that you are not walking in fear, that you're not being this Jekyll, that people know and then come home and want to be Hyde. Do you know what I'm saying? You cannot operate like that. Because, again, there's only so much fuel one can carry doing that. At some point, they're going to, someone is either going to come out in a terrible way. Some people... Look at how many times, obviously, movies have showed it time and time again, where people at the altar, and then it's like, does anybody believe these two people should not be lawfully married? And then someone gets up and says, yeah, I do. I'm his baby mother. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, listen, you should have told her that you had a baby mother, and that woman could have come, and your marriage would have still continued. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just simple little, not simple, but things like that.
Yeah.
Keeping things, brushing things under the carpet, thinking that it's not going to come out.
Yeah.
Is a big thing.
And I think one point I'll make really quickly is I feel as though I'm aware of people who have shared things and it kind of created a turmoil or a tension in the relationship. I'm aware of that. So not so much they've left and they've departed. Maybe even in the later stages that it's kind of transpired to that. But pre that, it was kind of just more of a tension. They said something that maybe shouldn't have been said and it created a kind of a tension basically. But again, I think what's important here is really weighing the people that you're speaking to. Were they prayerful about it? Did they say it at the right time? Was it something that came out in the heat of an argument, in the heat of a moment? Those are some of the things that we need to factor in.
And that is not how you want to be telling your spouse something that happened in the heat of an argument, in the heat of the moment. That's just not. So yes.
Damilola, what if you are in the Secret Service and cannot share because of oaths or government? We had this kind of situation at church. Yeah, you know what? So look,
oh wow.
Listen.
What, they can't tell their spouse?
Yeah. So
that they're in the Secret Service?
What will I say? I will say to you that yeah, it's like
don't get married. Not joke.
I don't know. Listen,
I mean, obviously. So basically, this person works in the government and they can't tell their spouse that they're a government worker.
Yeah, they're saying that there are certain things that they cannot reveal to them because of their work.
Oh, that's fine. No, okay, I say that's fine because the I got you. No, I think that's fine because the spouse would know that this is the area that their husband or wife works in, and if you, to be honest, it's actually still supporting them because you're not putting them in a position where they have to break their work code to tell you stuff. Because if somebody's working in such a position and, in the government, you can't reveal certain things because of certain things, the spouse should know that. And it should be accepting of that, especially if they knew you were going for the job and these were some of the things that came with the job. It can't be like, oh, you've been working for the government 5 years now. I think you should be able to tell me everything now, babes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No, that's like no. But obviously, not because they're working for the government mean they should be doing things. You understand? If the government's sending you to Dubai, doesn't mean you're going there to go and do nonsense, isn't it? If you're doing nonsense, come back and tell the wife that you did. If it's got nothing to do with the government.
Pachow. So, so I think one of the points we made earlier on was that what we're really talking about here, when we talk about removing the mask in marriage, that's really what we're talking about here. Like, there are masks that are worn in marriage, and we want to take those masks off. One of the key points here is to focus on things that are character forming. If someone's going to work for the Secret Service and constantly, and we see the James Bond movie, James Bond be killing everybody and that, and if those things are affecting James Bond's psyche and that means that he starts to become abusive with his wife, James Bond needs to go to counselling and tell his wife, because of something that's happening at work, that's the reason that he's being abusive with her, so he's going to counselling. That's the first level. The second level, I've exposed it in that same example, is where it's not just character forming, but it's marriage shaping. So if it's impacting James Bond and now impacting the marriage of James Bond, obviously James Bond needs to sort himself out. Like, things need to happen, and he needs to be able to discuss with his wife to a degree. Things at work have caused me to do this. I work for, I'm 007. I can't tell you exactly what happened, but those things are the situation. This is where the stream from last time is really important, because last episode we were talking about the power of communication and why a lot of marriages fail because they don't have that deep, rich conversation, that communication. So he needs to be able to communicate, maybe not all the nitty-gritty, not all the details, but they need to be able to discuss things that are changing them as individuals and in turn impacting their relationship.
Definitely.
Hope that answers the question.
Hopefully there's no Mr. and Mrs. Smiths out here.
Damilola, thank you. We appreciate you.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Prodigal African. Welcome to the stream.
Hi.
Peace and blessings to everyone. Thank you. It's so great to have you on the stream today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for commenting. Ecosmia says, also, I think it's important as a spouse to create a safe environment for the other to share, assuring them you won't throw past mistakes back in their face, etc. Because being vulnerable can be seen as...
Oh my gosh.
Giving the other person the upper hand. Absolutely.
That is probably one of the hardest things, you know, for the spouse who's been given this information.
Yeah.
You know, like not throwing that stuff back in their husband or wife's face. I mean, if they do that, just know that you're already causing a barrier. Like if they've told you one thing and they kind of, they're waiting to see how you handle this one and handle that one before they tell you something else. And then every 2 weeks you're like, blah, blah, blah. This is, is it because do you know what I'm saying? So, you know, me being all African up in here because you know how we eat, you got to do the little designs. But yeah, sometimes it works both ways. It works both ways, you know, with things and people. And this is why I feel like it's important that even when, I mean, I don't know if we're going to do this, but like there are ways to argue and there's ways not to argue.
Come on now.
Like, guys, yeah. There are ways to handle certain situations and ways not to handle certain situations. The one thing we don't want to be doing, especially after listening to this today, after listening to this conversation today, after being part of this conversation today, we have to understand that when our spouse tells us something that we know is deep and something that they've trusted us with, it's not for us to be throwing it back in their face. It's not the same as, oh, you need to stop putting the toilet seat every time that I go to you got the toilet seat up. That is not the same as what they're telling you. It's not. And it should not be weighed the same either. I
think one of the things that's important to us is really developing a safe zone. All right? Creating and harnessing a safe zone. We spoke about this before, and I think we had a stream before what we argue about. I think so. That's in a playlist if you want to go back and have a look at that. That kind of touches on arguments from our perspective a little bit. But I think what's really important is for us to understand that marriage, the covenant of marriage, should be a safe zone for those who are in it. And I know we've said it so many times, marriage is abused in so many different ways. There's this abusal of marriage, there's this misrepresentation of marriage. And because of that, we see a lot of people suffering in their marriages. This is such a, let me put it back up. It's such a great point. Because and I think that what we need to remember, what we need to focus on is that just exactly as Sarah said it, marriage is to be a safe zone. If I'm going to expose something to you, if I'm going to be transparent to you, if I'm going to reveal myself to you, then this is precious cargo.
That's right.
Precious cargo I'm giving you, and there's an expectation for you to deal with it as if it's fragile.
That's right.
Basically,
that's right.
and these things can either empower and strengthen the trust, strengthen the love. We talk about this authentic love, can develop that and empower that level, or it can really reduce it. And it can, we spoke about this before, undermining trust causes all kind of problems. So I jumped over a comment for Ecosmios. It said, Prodigal African said, great discussion going on here. Again, thank you so much. We appreciate your support and the comments. Thank you very much for being on the stream with us today. Ecosmios says, hey, at Prodigal African, yes. Welcome. Did I say prodigal son? Prodigal African. Forgive me. Forgive me.
Easy, isn't it?
Yeah, just
prodigal son. Hey, well, you never know.
Ecosmia, Secret Service. Oh, that's fine as long as you're still bringing home that paycheck. That's integral.
Hello.
I ain't even gonna say that now.
Hello.
I got nothing to say.
Don't need to know your work business.
Ecosmia says, I don't think that's the job for you. Then I think it starts with little lies. First, where you going for work. Next, who you're working with. Then who your work wife is to be. Nah, lie is a lie.
Hey.
To be and I think that's important. I think it's very, very important. Let me push Ecosmos' next comment forward. Ecosmos says, 12 hours of your day every day is a lot not to be a part of. And I think that's super rich. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about developing your relationship. When we spoke about soul ties, when we talk about intimacy, when we talk about conversation, the focus is always about developing. What did I say to you guys earlier on? Not just the outer game, but the inner game. I said earlier on, it's important for us to understand how our spouse thinks. Not just to know what our spouse says, but also to kind of learn the motivations. Like, Sister Sarah might say something about, we in the car, we might be driving, she might say something about the way we're driving. We might be talking about our plans and our structure, she might be saying something about our plans and our structure. And more time, I will have an idea. I don't want to say I know concretely, but I might have an idea about
where I'm going.
Yeah, what is not just where she's going, but what is motivating her. We had a conversation this morning. I think it was this morning or yesterday morning. We were talking about a few things and just kind of the direction. Like we're talking about navigating our direction over the next quarter, basically. And she said some things, and I had to pull up and I said, like, really, you're saying it because of this? And then she was like, yeah. And you need to be able to understand your spouse so you can help the two of them navigate. She helps me in justice. Today I'm giving an example of her. Yesterday she could be giving an example of me, and this is the way it works. The more you communicate, the more you talk, the more you're open, the more you entertain God to come in and like kind of help that intimacy. When I say intimacy, it's not the physical only, but the more you permit the Lord in, the more you find that your marriage is strengthened and empowered.
That's right.
We good?
We good, babe.
Listen, I want to thank all of you out there. Thank you so much for your comments, for your contributions. I say this on a regular. It's important that you understand that it is because of you guys that we are able to foster this conversation. Me and says we'll be chatting anyway, but when you guys are here, it really helps us to really feed into you guys and to really share with you guys some of the wealth, the grace, the riches that the Lord has helped us with in our relationship, in our marriage. If you haven't, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button down below. If you feel the stream benefited you, don't be a stranger. Please share this stream with other people in your circle. If you think that this conversation today may help someone else who's challenged right about now, or has been going through a conversation or some challenges, maybe you're that friend. Since I was talking about earlier, that the husband and the wife be talking to all the time, my husband, my wife.
Too much.
Maybe share the video with them so they can get some insight and some light on things from our perspective. Because listen, your marriage matters. If you're not married yet, let me tell you something. Your future marriage, it matters.
Definitely.
All right. I'm Ezekiel.
And I'm Sarah.
And we've been here today for another episode of Marriage Matters Live. Love hearts, love hearts, love hearts. Listen, we'll be back in a fortnight. See you guys real soon.
Yes.
God bless and good night.
Real talk.